Hi all, thank you again for joining. We're going to get started now.
Good morning and welcome everyone to today's public hearing regarding the rate cap. The time is 10:02 on Thursday, September 23rd, 2021. Thank you for attending this hearing. A court reporter is present and will transcribe the hearing. To avoid background noise during this hearing, we ask everyone to please mute yourself until we start calling on speakers. My name is Sharmina. I'm the Executive Agency Counsel at the New York City Business Integrity Commission, otherwise known as BIC, or the Commission. BIC is conducting this hearing as required by the rules of the City of New York. BIC must hold a public hearing every odd year before October 31st regarding the maximum rates charged by private trade waste carters for the collection, removal, disposal of trade waste, also known as the rate cap. BIC published the hearing notice in the City Records on August 19, 2021. We also disseminated a copy of the notice via email to all New York City local elected officials, all 59 community board managers, several media organizations in the city, and other interested parties. Lastly, we made available a copy of the hearing notice on BIC's website. This hearing gives interested parties an opportunity to present their positions on the rate cap so that the Commission may gain a better understanding of the current state of the commercial trade waste industry and how the current rate cap impacts the industry. The current rate cap was put in place in 2018. The New York City rules state some of the factors that BIC may consider when evaluating the rate cap. These include producer price index, commonly referred to as a PPI, available data on the trade waste industry, and any other factors that may be relevant to assessing a fair, reasonable return to licensees and the protection of customers from unreasonable charges. The rules also state that proponents of a change in the rate cap bear the burden of demonstrating on an industry-wide basis that existing rates are inconsistent with the standard for maximum rates. Thus, we are here to listen to you on this issue. We hope that your statements will be supported by studies and other forms of empirical data. This hearing is the beginning of our fact-gathering process on this issue. After we've gathered all pertinent information, we will then be in a position to decide whether or not to adjust the rate cap. As I mentioned, a court reporter is present today and will record the hearing. The hearing is also being video recorded. You may present an oral statement or submit written comments. BIC will carefully consider all the comments it receives today at the hearing. All written comments it receives until October 23rd, 2021. The Commission's Director of Policy, Nicole Mathias, will begin calling to those of you who wish to speak this morning in the order in which you have signed in. When you speak, please state your full name, your affiliation, and speak slowly and clearly so the court reporter can understand and accurately transcribe your statements. We also would like you to limit your statements to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for joining today's virtual hearing. I am Nicole Mathias, Director of Policy for the Business Integrity Commission. I will begin calling on speakers in a moment. Please feel free to provide your testimony by audio or video by turning on your camera if you prefer. Once everyone who had previously signed up to speak has had the opportunity, we will open the floor to anyone else on the call who wishes to give comments. If you wish to speak and have not already signed up, please put your name in the chat box. As a reminder, please keep yourself muted unless you are speaking so everyone can hear the speaker clearly and the court reporter can accurately transcribe the hearing. The first speaker is Ron Bergamini.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. Hello, everyone. I heard someone say that we do this every odd year. It's certainly been an odd year, or a couple of years. So I note that this is really a continuation where there should have been the rate cap increase in 2020. I understand why fully. I'll be very brief here because it's really the same old story. All costs are going up. They've been continuing to go up. You just need to read the newspaper. In particular, we have disposal issues where those costs are being driven up. There's a nationwide driver issue, and it's certainly acute in the New York area. Unions are asking for double-digit wage increases, using the line, understandably, that they're essential workers. Fuel is up. And I have, and it's public information, the U.S. Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, which came out in September, for the 12 months ending August 2021, the increase is 5.3%. That's certainly the highest I've seen in 15 years of doing this and advocating for, actually, I advocate for the end of the rate cap, but certainly for its increase. And there's one other issue here that I think is important for the commission to consider. We have the increases, and I'm sure others will talk about that, but we also have, and understandably, and we've supported stringent new requirements when it comes to equipment and safety standards. And they will undoubtedly escalate in cost as time goes on, and trying to find some of these, the equipment is difficult. But we have to consider that with things such as side guards, computers that are in trucks, the tablets that are in trucks, the additional training that's now.
Get on there and pull it from there.
I think somebody needs to mute. The additional training that's just been advanced by the BIC and DSNY. And finally, all costs in the New York City area are just higher than national average, whether it's tolls, wages, fuel, processing, and recycling. I'm happy to send the report from the CPI, from the U.S. Department of Labor. And I'm speaking on behalf of Interstate Waste Services, which is the parent company of the licensee Action Carding. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. The next speaker is Stephen Bellino. I think you might be on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't plan on speaking today, but that's okay. I'll take an opportunity. My name's Stephen Bellino, and I'm from Liberty Ashes Inc. And we operate in Long Island, Queens, and basically all the boroughs. To basically back up what Ron Berganini said, the inflation rate on the CPI actually is 5.8%, a little bit higher. I also did the study on the CP rates. The rates have been going up approximately 3% per year. It's been 3 years since we've had an increase. Insurance has gone up about approximately 300% to insure these trucks for liability. Steel has gone up approximately 100%. And everything related to this industry, including driver wages, are increasing. So I can't stress enough that we need an increase, and we need it bad. I'd also like to say that this system of rate cap is 25 years old. It was instituted because of organized crime affiliation in 1996. And today we have a competitive marketplace. If you raise a customer and the customer is not satisfied with your rate, he finds somebody else at a phone call. It's that simple. So my comments are, first, do away with the rate cap. And second, if we can't do away with the rate cap, give us a fair rate of return, because we're all suffering here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is Tom Toscano.
Yes, I will echo what's already been said, and I'm going to hit it from a little bit of a different angle. My name is Thomas Toscano, and I'm the CEO of Mr. T Carding, third generation family business that has served New York City waste and recycling market for more than 74 years. There are three costs to picking up waste and recycling in the city. There are the disposal and dumping costs, the labor costs, and the equipment costs. That includes fuel. The rate cap was last increased in the summer of 2018. From then until now, Carter's been purchasing trucks to update their fleet to the standards of Local Law 145. These costs have increased significantly above inflation for that reason. In addition, diesel fuel costs are at a 5-year high and continue to increase. These costs factor into the dump rate that I will discuss shortly. In short, During the past 3 years, my company has seen truck costs increase by nearly 20%. During that same 3-year period, our disposal costs are up just over 12%, and I expect a jump shortly. Disposal costs is closely tied to fuel prices that, as I mentioned, are climbing. I expect their costs to track higher at more than 5% annually because of fuel and the driver shortage that I'll be getting to in a minute. Lastly, and most importantly, are the labor costs. In a typical year, labor costs increase 3 or 4%. The last few years have been far from typical. For decades, the minimum wage was under $10 per hour. Drivers and helpers in our industry were typically 3 or 4 times what that minimum wage was, and it was not a factor. When the minimum wage was raised to $15 an hour, we did not have to raise a single driver or helper to comply with the law. The issue is that sanitation jobs are very difficult jobs. You will not attract somebody who can work at Starbucks for $15 an hour to work nights outside in all kinds of weather in an extremely physical job for a few dollars more than minimum wage. There must be significant differential to draw them into the industry. Further, there is a nationwide CDL driver shortage that is attracting people out of the industry. Again, sanitation jobs are difficult jobs where you get in and out of the truck hundreds of times a night, unlike most other CDL jobs. All these factors are converging to drive up wages more than any other cost, and I expect an overall increase in this cost of 10% per year for the next few years. 2 years ago, the BIC started the process of reviewing the rate cap. And despite the laws of the city requiring the BIC to make a determination, no determination was ever made. That process is still open because of that. And the BIC can give an increase immediately to finish that review. I recommend that the BIC increase the rate cap by 20% to finish the process started in 2019. After that, the BIC can further study the issue to comply with its 2021 obligation to see if a further increase is necessary. Regulations and oversight of this industry have increased dramatically over the past 3 years. The Carters have not seriously opposed the major concerns of the BIC, aside from asking minor changes in how to achieve those goals. A lot of those regulations are expensive, particularly the equipment costs. The increased safety enforcement has driven some drivers out of the industry, and while I'm not asking for a reduction in those safety rules or enforcement, realize that if you raise the bar for drivers, you must also raise the compensation to attract more and better drivers into the industry. In addition to this, the looming commercial waste zone RFP has all but ensured there will be no new entrants into the market on the Carter side. I fear the city is setting up a perfect storm scenario when you put this all together. If a brand new employee comes into this industry and does everything all right, he or she will not be driving a truck for at least a year. Making a mistake now and not giving immediate rate cap relief cannot be undone later by simply raising the cap. There is a significant lead time in getting drivers. There will be some accounts that cannot get service. As an example, we recently dropped an account that required us to ring a bell and wait for an account to bring down garbage. This stop typically took 15 minutes, where a typical stop took less than a minute. If you squeeze my company by holding my revenue line and raising my costs, I will not get accounts like this. Time stops are another example of difficult accounts that will have trouble finding a Carter. Add the fact that traffic is now beyond the pre-pandemic levels, which shrinks the window when you can send out a truck. Certain areas may be to have difficulty as well, like densely populated Manhattan and downtown Brooklyn. The failure to act quickly in increasing the cap could be very detrimental to the city. In 2009, the city added a weight-based cap to the rate cap scheme when a very large account could not find a Carter. That problem was rectified quickly. For the reasons stated above, an emergency rate cap increase in the future will not fix the situation anywhere as quickly because of the new environment we're in and the lead time to train new drivers. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Andy Moss.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to be here this morning. I just want to echo Tom Toscano's comments about the process still being open. We are in agreement, and we would recommend that we would urge the Business Integrity Commission to make an immediate rate cap adjustment and then review this testimony for an additional adjustment after that. I have submitted my Waste Connections testimony in writing. I should say that I am Andy Moss with Waste Connections. We have the only thing I want to highlight this morning that hasn't already been said is that the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics publishes a index specific to the solid waste collection industry. And since the date of the last increase in the rate cap, that index has increased just a fraction under 10%. And if that goes through from the date of the last increase through July, it doesn't have August, which is sure to be an even higher number. And it doesn't include New York City specifically, which also is sure to be a higher number if that were looked at specifically. The only other thing I would say is that that's a backward-looking number. It's not a forward-looking number. So we would urge the Business Integrity Commission to make an adjustment that not only reflects the increases that we have seen, but to anticipate the increases that we will see. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to reiterate, if you are not already on the speaker list and you would like to speak, please put your name into the chat box. The next speaker on the list is Steve Changaris.
Good morning, Nicole. Thank you. My chat feature is hidden on my cell phone device, so I had to do an offline email. Thank you, Nicole. My name is Steve Changaris. I'm the New York City chapter director for the National Waste and Recycling Association. The chapter represents the private sector waste, many of the private sector waste and recycling companies in the industry. We have an active chapter. The hardworking men and women of the chapter collect and manage the waste produced by the city's 100,000, 150,000 plus commercial entities, depending on whose data you use. It's a huge task done every day. We do it in good weather and bad weather, and we try to be as good corporate citizens and work as safely in the neighborhoods and the communities we serve. Last 18 months, and those immediately in front of us, we see running our city-based trade waste system as an essential industry in the COVID-19 crisis. Our system, meaning the employees, customers, and customer owners, have all suffered severe physical health and financial duress during the pandemic, as has so many others. The chapter, as an advocate for city trade waste companies in this system, has the simple job to put the needs of the trade waste providers front and center. So clearly today, the top priority of my message is that we need rate cap relief now from the BIC so the companies can begin to work with their customers in the critically needed process to right the ship, or said another way, rebalance the scales in the trade waste customer service provider relationships. The economics of running a New York City trade waste company could not have been more strained over the last 18 months than these pandemic ill effects and the effects today. The industry has been severely crippled, in particular since it's reliant solely on commercial trade waste, which commercial sector was just virtually shut down in the city during the pandemic. In addition to the economic impact of the pandemic, since the last rate cap increase, trade waste companies have been subject to new regulatory costs imposed by the city for such things as safety side guards, new truck emission compliance requirements, commercial waste zone costs incurred by these companies for the long-term company survival as they try to put their bids together to go forward. And most recently, the BIC's implementation of its safety package of new regulations. All of these things driving costs further with the installation of crossover mirrors, new training and reporting requirements, equipment, and the like. So we have a couple of very simple requests we'll put on the record today. Our first and long-standing request since the beginning of these hearings has been to eliminate the rate cap. It's anachronistic and old and should be done away with, and let these trade waste companies that are fully vetted, licensed for skills, knowledge, and ability to work out the pricing that best works for them and their customers. And then on the other hand, if the rate cap is to be kept, we will reiterate the comment we made in the 2019 hearing, that there should be a minimum rate at which below waste, recyclables, and organics cannot be collected and managed in the city. The race to the bottom hurts the push forward with better equipment, better drivers, and better standards for the industry. Second, we request an immediate rate cap increase due to the COVID-19 effect of no rate cap being issued after the October 2019 hearing. Second, we also urge another rate cap increase effective be issued in January. We believe the immediate rate cap relief should be in the 12% range, and the January 2023 rate cap looking forward should be in the 5% range. And this will both account for the 3 or 4 years we have not had a rate cap increase, as well as the glimpse into the future before the next review 2 years from now. I want to give a couple of very specific numbers about what is going on in the world of our company's world. The transportation sector, according to some of the research, has had a cumulative inflation rate since 2017 of 11.5%. The national cumulative inflation rate since 2017 has been more than 11.5%. In New York City alone, it's more than 8%. The PPI, the producer price increase for solid waste collection, is up 21% since 2017, from 133 to 154. Typically, trade waste service company costs include labor, equipment, disposal fees, fuel, safety, insurance, administrative costs, regulatory costs, taxes, and more labor, and more. Labor in our world, I'm only going to focus on the one labor issue for now. And in our world includes a spectrum of employees, from drivers, helpers, mechanics, operations, administrative, and more. Just regarding drivers, the driver shortage is a top concern heard throughout the industry, and as noted earlier in this testimony by others. There has been upward driver wage pressure in the industry for several years running now. In a recent trade press quote from a Stifel industry analysis, I think was from late 2019 or early 20, driver wage rate growth should be in the 6 to 10% range year over year. These factors have not changed and continue unabated. We appreciate the opportunity to provide this testimony and continue to look forward to our relationship with BIC to advocate on behalf of the city's private sector waste industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes everyone on the pre-sign-up list. Is there anyone else on the call today who would like to speak? One more time, please. Who was that? Going again. Anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, hearing none, we will now close the record for this hearing. As a reminder, BIC will accept written comments until October 23rd, so please feel free to email, mail, or fax in your testimony if you have not done so.